Hello and welcome to building block number 7 in our personal development. Don't you love today's title? You are not a freak. Okay, so what I want to address is we talked about our inner monologue and our inner mean girl. And I want to address just things that hold us back emotionally. And so sometimes we feel like we don't fit in, we feel like there's something wrong with us. And as an adult, I think sometimes we end up with more insecurities in developing friendships than we did as a kid. Because in a kid, you're at the playground at the monkey bars and someone walks by and you go, hey, do you want to play on the monkey bars with me? And they either say yes or no, and we pretty much brush it off. But as an adult, sometimes it feels a little more intimidating to put ourselves out there. But I'm going to digress to a personal instance where I really did feel like there was something wrong with me. During a time when I was married, and it was particularly stressful, we were under an enormous amount of financial stress at the time. My body started to have panic attacks. And so they showed themselves in the way that at night I kept super busy during the day. But then at night, when I was trying to fall asleep, I would start to basically, my brain would reiterate all the stresses of the day and the future and the stresses of the past. And I would start to get the shakes. Like I would literally, my entire body would be quivering laying in bed. And I'd try and tighten my muscles to make it stop because not only freaked me out, but what didn't help is my husband at the time would say to me, stop that, you're freaking me out. So I'm laying there completely stressed, trying not to have the person next to me become more angry, and it did not at all help the situation. So then it started to show up during the day. I would be standing in line at the bank and think, oh no, what if I have a panic attack here? I'd go to the grocery store and my brain would be like, oh no, what if you have a panic attack here? And so slowly but surely, I started, partly due to the stresses in my life at the time and, the breakdown of my current relationship, started to actually isolate myself because I was afraid that this panic attack that I'd never experienced before was going to show up. And because the words of don't do that, you're freaking me out, made me think, well, everyone else is going to feel the same way. They're going to think, oh my goodness, you're a freak. What are you doing? Now, I realize that might sound extreme or a little too personal to share, but honestly, those thought patterns played out in my life for several years following, and it made me become more and more closed off to people and to unfamiliar situations. And so we live in a world of Mary Kay where we need to be comfortable in unfamiliar situations and we need to put ourselves out there in the world. So suddenly, not surprising, this started to affect my career. And this is why I want to share this story with you today. So I want to share with you some of the things that helped me to get through this difficult situation. Okay, so first of all, some of the things that helped me. Realizing that other people also had anxiety issues. And so the one thing that I needed to learn was I was not a freak. The second thing I needed to address was the shame. I felt shame in not being able to handle the stresses and not being able to handle the situations. And there is no shame in feeling stressed. And however your body decides to handle it is what it is. So basically admitting that this was something that I experienced actually gave it way less power in my life because I started to be able to tell other people, I'm like, you know what, this is what I experience. And whether or not they experienced the same thing, there was still a level of compassion that made me feel A, less like a freak, and B, less like I needed to hide from society and hide this experience from society. The other thing that I needed to do was release the things that were stressing me. So now that is a whole other story. But basically, we've already talked about some elements of self-care, and on Friday we're going to kind of do an overview of all the elements of self-care and things that you can do to build a personal mental toughness, a personal healthy body, healthy mind, healthy spirit. And that's what this course is all about. And so I want to address some of my insecurities so you don't think I'm coming from a place of, oh, Joyce knows it all. I don't. I'm simply telling you things that help me. So in this particular situation, in dealing with my anxiety, these are some of the things that helped me. A, admitting it, just going, hey, I'm experiencing this. B, finding a group of people who also experienced this was an enormous relief that made me feel better. Now, you don't have to go out and find an anxiety support group. For me, it was actually a divorce care group that helped, because a lot of the other women I was talking to all felt the same way as I did, because we were going through similar trauma in our life at the time. Another thing that helped me was I went to counseling. Support counseling, I totally feel like it is an enormous, honestly, the last 3 years of my life have been so much better. And I feel so much more empowered because of it. Literally, it helped me deal with a zillion things that I'd been carrying around. And lastly, if you need to seek professional, if you need to go to your doctor and get some kind of medication or I did talk to my doctor about it. He felt it was something that I could probably manage with just herbal things that I could get off the counter through the health food store, which I did, and that was super helpful. And he actually did write me a prescription for, I can't even remember what it was. It was some kind of an anxiety drug. I never ever took it. Not that there's any shame in that, but just knowing I had it in my purse weirdly helped me to go, oh, if this gets too crazy, I do have this. So weirdly, it was kind of something I carried around with me for years until the bottle expired. Never ever took it, never opened the bottle, but just having it in my purse kind of made me feel better. And also, I really recommend, we've talked about this 100 times, and honestly, this simple verbiage helped me amazing, is in the Lord's Prayer, in the Holy Scriptures, it talks about asking for our daily bread. And I know I've talked about this before, but honestly for me, it just gave my brain such relief knowing that God was going to give me the strength for today. He's not going to give me the strength for tomorrow, and he's not expecting me to worry about things of the past, but he's going to give me my daily bread. And my daily bread was just what I needed for the step that I was on in that moment in time. And another really interesting side note is in the Holy Scriptures, do you realize it says, fear not, 365 times. 365 times gives you one fear not for every day of the week. Isn't that cool? I don't think that's a coincidence. So, if you get anything from today's message is A, you're not a freak. And B, there are ways to work through whatever it is that you're dealing with. There is strength. And you know what? You have everything that you need, and there are resources for anything out there, and there's no shame in it. Okay, so I'm going to list below some of the things that help me, some of the stresses, and just to be able to move forward of this aspect of my life. So tomorrow we get to talk about things that are way more victorious. So have a great day, and remember, you're not a freak.